Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this episode, I'll be interviewing Saeeda Ahmed. Saida is a thought leader and socio-economic entrepreneur, successfully spanning over 20 years of solution-driven projects which benefit the economy, society, and industry. What drives her passion is lasting, sustainable change for the society and economy. She has spoken in Davos 2020 about sustainable cities, OIC opportunities, and connecting with Istanbul Declaration. She's a UNGSI ambassador and advisor for the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. She has also been appointed as special advisor to the President of the State of Puntland in Somalia. Saida has spoken internationally and nationally at over 120 conferences and events. She has delivered masterclasses for social entrepreneurs from across Europe, Scandinavia, and Asia. Saida is involved on a global level on the development and growth of the halal economy from an ethical and socially responsible model perspective. She has spearheaded a global partnership with key Malaysian industry and educational institutions and British partners to create a win-win solution. Saida was a former Cabinet Office Social Enterprise Ambassador, Future 100 Award winner, Ernst & Young Social Entrepreneur of the Year, finalist 2011 and 2012, and a Millennium Award winner. Saida has been profiled by a number of media agencies such as The Sunday Times, BBC Politics Show, BBC Radio, The Guardian, Independent, and more recently was interviewed by The Economist on her faith and lifestyle and career choices.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, dear sister Saida. Jazakallah khair so much for making the time from your busy schedule today. I know you've had an extraordinary busy day today, subhanAllah. But thank you for making the time to speak with us today. Sister Saida, I've got to know you recently and I'm very honored actually to have had the opportunity to get to know you, and also I see the effect you're having on the Muslim community and the wider community, mashallah. But for those of us, the audience, how would you describe yourself in terms of the work that you've been doing, and what are your main focuses on at the moment?
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It's a real honor for me to be speaking to you about some of the work I'm doing, not just nationally but internationally. I think probably one of the first things I need to do is to tell you a bit about my story.
Definitely.
I've grown up in Bradford all my life. I have spent all of my life working on projects that make a difference to the lives of communities. I realized very early on that a lot of the public services and the education services were built on delivering services to the community based on stereotypes rather than actual need. And I was fortunate enough that I did my degree and then won a scholarship for the University of Cambridge in social enterprise. I was doing public contracts for the National Health Service, for universities, for local authorities. It was always, we've got a problem to engage the Muslim community or the Asian community or diverse groups or women or youth. It was always a group that people didn't know how to quite deal with. Yeah. And also for a service, they didn't know how to make it more accessible. So over 20 years ago, I started helping to develop innovative solutions for communities, for public services, for large businesses. So services were delivered with the heart of the community to mind.
Mashallah.
Fast forward that, over 20 years later, I'm sat here. I have undertaken over 120 contracts nationally and internationally.
Mashallah.
Those contracts have been developing prototypes for living in a sustainable way, in a social responsible way. So it's labour market programs, healthcare reform, education services, public service delivery, developing holistic solutions. And I think because I don't work in a sector, I've always been leading, designing, innovating. People think, but I thought you worked in education, so how come you work in healthcare? And we thought you worked in healthcare, how come you're doing a project on sustainable cities? They didn't realize that actually my skill set was not on working in. I developed dream teams. My skill set and my strength was actually innovating and creating cutting edge solutions for problems that are very real in the world today, whether that be in Yorkshire, whether that be in England, or whether that be internationally.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. That's absolutely amazing to hear. Sister Saida, you must have had so many challenges over the years that you've overcome, mashallah. What do you feel has been your greatest challenge, and how did you overcome this?
I mean, I don't think you can look at and say that there's one greatest challenge, because I think every single day there's different types of challenges that we face. For some days, it might be that you wake up in the morning and you just don't have energy. Another day, you might be thinking, I've got a project and nobody believes in your project and you're fighting against the grain. The other times might be that, you're ahead of your time. So I can't say that there's one particular challenge. I'd say an area which is probably very relevant is now the negativity that exists all around us. Everything is doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And I think as Muslims, it's amplified, some of it because of real reasons, some of it because of perceived reasons, that, there's Islamophobia and I can't do that and I'm not allowed to do that and I can't do this. And I've taken my life in a very different way. I'm a great believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has power over all things. Kun fayakun, He says, be, and it is. I'm a great believer that my qadr was written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not me, not my circumstances, not my hard work. These are all ingredients, but they're not the end determinant of my success. So I believe that there is no challenge that no human can't overcome as long as they've got the right ingredients.
Sure.
The other thing I would say is that I think as a challenge facing us as a community is inward looking. Muslims have become so introvert, in so many contexts, and Islam was not introvert. It was a faith that helped create solutions for the world.
Absolutely.
And it created respect, regardless of what others might say about it. As Muslims, we were the innovators, the inventors, the philosophers, the people who weren't scared to get it wrong. We will now not try a different colour of hijab just in case someone thinks, it doesn't suit her, so what? We will not try and do a new type of business or go into areas like renewable energy, clean energy, zero poverty projects because somebody else hasn't done it. So really, instead of being knowledge donors, we become recipients. We're waiting for others to lead the way. And I think that this is going to be one of the biggest challenges that we will face, that negativity, that feeling sorry for ourselves, that space of we'll let everybody else do it, and then if they do it, we'll copy it. So we'll always be catching up.
That's a very, very, very interesting and insightful point. Segueing nicely onto that, actually, I mean, throughout your career and throughout the course of history, you've been impacting in many different ways behind the scenes for some amazing innovative solutions for the Ummah and the wider community. What do you feel, Sister Saida, has been your greatest achievement to date that's close to your heart?
I think my greatest achievement is actually being able to get past the negativity and the rubbish and just get on with it. Rolling my sleeves and saying, no, I am going to go out there, I'm going to do the best I can with the tools I have. Every single one of us is given a different sense of skills, a different set of responsibilities, and we've got to perform to the best we can. I cannot expect a grandmother who's lived all her life in a poor village to be talking about the same things as I am. In the same way, you cannot expect a world leader who has exposure to the world to talk on the same level as myself. I think for myself, I am now sitting in audiences, intergovernmental, international audiences, where I'm very much fighting the corner for social justice, for environmental responsibility, for the voice of Muslims in a fair and impartial way. I am not there saying, oh, we Muslims are perfect and give us chances. I say, no, let's look at creating a level playing field for everybody and make sure that as Muslims we're contributing and we're participating and we're benefiting from that. We are not there to take the charity and the arms of other people and communities. One of the projects I'm involved in at the moment, it's actually through a foundation called UNGSI, which is a foundation that's allied itself to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations have set targets for. In this, we are creating sustainable cities, which are the next generation of smart cities, which will look at empowering communities, building skills, environmental sustainability and stewardship, and future cities which will be using renewable energy, affordable housing. So we will have a place for everybody in there to grow, to prosper and to benefit. And for me, this is an absolute delight, because although they're not Muslim themselves, we have common values. And for me as a Muslim, our hukukul ibad, our responsibility to creation is absolutely implemented through this work, inshallah.
Inshallah. That sounds like an amazing project, mashallah. I'm glad to see you are representing the voices of many people, alhamdulillah. Sister, throughout our lifetime, we have different role models that come and impact us in a different way. They leave a mark. Some inspire us, empower us, and basically make us want to be better people, alhamdulillah. Who would you say has been your most prevalent role model to date so far in your life?
I mean, I think there's so many different types of role models in so many different contexts.
Yes.
In some, I look at my parents because they stood against the grain,
MashaAllah,
and they pushed for girls in our community to have an education when at that time it wasn't common. There's others where I look at Khadija radiallahu anha, who was a businesswoman, who was a strong woman, who knew what she wanted, who wasn't scared, and she went against the grain.
Absolutely.
Then there's others who are not from our community and they inspire you. People like Bob Geldof, who stood there and he transformed the music industry and their way of giving to people in Africa. So really, I can't say it's one. I'd say it's many different people in different contexts. But what has always been inspirational for me is people who are not scared of being seen as bad or negatively. Their pursuit of their goal eventually, alhamdulillah, gets a result for them.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Sister Saida, from mindfulness is something that's prevalent in our community at the moment. Everyone's talking about it. Society is aware of it now, and it's become a topic of discussion across international, countries, and corporate organizations are making it a priority. How do you deal with stress? What are your stress mechanisms dealing with stress? Because everyone has a different way, but what is Sister Saida's way of dealing with stress?
I think some of the ways I deal with stress are looking at the bigger picture. So it's learning to zoom in and out. Recognizing that, for example, life is not endless. And what seems really important today, maybe in 5 years' time, I'm just going to look at it and think, was I really stressing about that? So contextualizing. The other is more, I suppose, basic principles from an Islamic point of view. Having tawakkul, recognizing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change my circumstances within one moment.
Yeah.
So with that, if I'm having a difficult day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could actually change it to a happy day almost immediately. The other is to recognize that no situation completely as negative, and nothing is completely positive. So learning from the good and learning from the bad. And the other thing is our 5 prayers. People say there's always a new dawn. As a Muslim, I say, for us, we don't even have to wait to dawn. It's till our next prayer. It's till our next dua or prayer. It's our next wish. And as Muslims, knowing that our belief incorporates that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a direct link to us, we can ask what we want from the creator of the universe. And the universe will succumb to the will of the creator. And that universe will conspire together according to the will of the creator. So that universe becomes subservient to your wish, because you've got a direct connection.
That's so beautifully articulated, sister. MashaAllah. That's it's very, very nicely put, MashaAllah. Sister Saida, if you could go back to your former 18-year-old self, what would you advise her?
I would probably advise myself not to hang around with people who spend their life living their fears and the fears that the television tells them to have, and negative stereotypes and so forth. I would just say, go forth and do not worry about the people who are constantly trying to demoralize you. I would probably invest a lot more time and energy in the halal economy as an ethical economy, and find like-minded people who believe that environmental stewardship, social responsibility, doing things the right way is the only way.
MashaAllah. Sister Saida, we all, as Muslims, we are blessed for our deen. We know the full blueprint of this and the purpose of life, alhamdulillah. And we all feel inclined to leave a legacy, something that we can remember for, something that could act as a sadqa jariyah for us as well. What is the impact that you would like to have left in this world? And you've made a huge impact already, mashallah. And what is it that you want to be remembered for?
I believe that my role, inshallah, and my dreams were always to make global impact. So when I went to Hajj over 15 years ago, I prayed in front of the Kaaba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I only have 2 hands. Make the work that I do span the earth in terms of goodness. Today, I am working with governments, with educational bodies, with organizations that are interested in long-term impact, sustainability, and skills building. I feel like my voice was created to bring positive change, but also to be the voice for those people who currently are not being heard, they're being ignored, and often misrepresented in places where change could occur for them.
Absolutely.
I will create, inshallah, with the support of key players all over the world, global entrepreneurship opportunities. I will work to create sustainable housing, healthcare and well-being services that will transform communities, invest in agriculture that will truly be incorporating Toyeban principles of cleanliness, of purity and nutrition in the food and diet that will not just benefit the Muslim communities, but wider populations as a whole, so that we have happy people all over the earth, inshallah.
Ameen, Ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase the barakah in everything you're doing and make all your intentions, fulfill them, and give you a huge amount of ajr for all the beautiful intentions that you have and the work that you have been doing as well, mashallah. Sister Saida, I know a lot of the audience is going to be wanting to get in touch with you. So online, and what is the best method that people can find you online, and what is your preferred method for people to get in to communicate with you?
some of the best ways online. I mean, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, so the traditional ways, Saeeda Ahmed. And I think for my Twitter, it's Saeeda_EPUK. In terms of getting in touch with me, those are probably the easiest ways on social media. I think one of the things that would probably be of real interest to a lot of the Muslim community is I've currently been doing a lot of work to look at creating flagship sustainable cities, particularly partnering with Climate Investment Fund within the World Bank and the OIC, the Organisation of Islamic Countries. I'm going to be looking at creating stronger partnerships and so forth. So I think in a global level, I'll be quite busy, involved in large infrastructure, transformative projects that will benefit many different countries, companies and communities. So whether people want to get in contact with me in terms of that, or whether it's just to kind of say hello, probably social media, but in terms of partnership working or wider collaborations, I'd probably say LinkedIn.
LinkedIn,
Yeah.
MashaAllah, perfect. Sister Saida, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, speaking with you, and Jazakallah khair so much for making the time today. I really appreciate it.
Jazakallah khair for the opportunity to see you again and to just cover some of the work I'm involved in.
Alhamdulillah. Pleasure. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the interview. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're alerted as we upload more inspirational Muslim videos.